My name is Guy Chachkes. I am 5'11". Fun fact about me is that I am addicted to cooking knives, and I have a whole set of them because I love cooking, etc. And they're unfortunately expensive. And you're listening to How We Roll.
Well, that was sharp. Okay. No, that was stupid. Thank you so much.
When it comes to working in entertainment, there's a lot of hows, and they all boil down to how we navigate this wild industry. While how we follow our dreams is uncertain, how we roll along the way is in our hands. Welcome to How We Roll, a podcast for actors by casting networks.
Hello, friends. As you heard, we're going to create a definitive guide to acting reels for you today. Not social media acting reels, although those are great too, and maybe it'll pop up. I'm joined in the studio by our expert, Guy. Not just
Hi.
an expert guy, but Guy is the name of the expert. I'm sure you've never gotten that before.
Yeah, always.
Always, as we answer this how for you. So welcome, Guy. Thank you so much for being here. I am super excited.
Thanks for having me. It's a real pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Well, I wish we were doing this in your beautiful studio. Everybody.
I know. And I wish I was in my beautiful studio, but we're currently in the equipment room next to the studio. So, but this is where all the beautiful props and everything, they all find themselves in the studio.
That's pretty magical. And I think it's great to show that side of this all too. It's not all glamour, folks, but I think you look really cool in there. I wish I had some kind of cool shelf behind me.
Yeah, it's not glammy at all, but yeah, it's great. What's glammy is what's in front of the camera, which is fun, for sure.
Yeah, dare I say it's real, Guy.
It is very real. It is as real as it gets.
Well, as we talk, if you want to whip out any props, I won't be opposed to that. If it's fitting.
Yeah,
but we touched on it. I just want to say you are the founder of Reelarc, which is, I'll say, the premier demo reel and production company for actors. Bi-coastal. You see thousands of reels every year, if not more, and work very closely with agents and casting directors, etc. So I cannot wait to pick your brain on this subject.
Yeah.
First, can you just please share in a nutshell why you do what you do?
Yeah. So I was a child actor myself. As I grew up, I decided that I wanted to be more in front of the camera, but I found an opportunity. I was waiting tables like everybody else, like about 10, 11 years ago, in this restaurant in the Upper East Side of Manhattan. Me and another waiter there, Steven, who's my business partner, this was when the DSLR revolution was kind of happening a little bit, outside of it, where we're making something look great, kind of like started popping. Right. And you were able to make something that looks incredibly cinematic with not so expensive equipment. And there were a lot of actors in the restaurant. I was kind of like flailing, not really knowing what to do with my life, like everybody, who waits tables already 7, 8 years into the game. I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? And then this came up, you know what I mean? And my business partner, Steven, he had the idea for it. He was like, hey, let's shoot scenes for actors at the restaurant. I was like, okay, maybe there's like something here and I can marry both worlds, filmmaking and acting. I didn't know anything about holding a camera. Neither did Steven, but we had this like, like that curve that we thought that we can actually do something.
Yeah.
But anyways, it started with one actor in the restaurant. I remember all of them. And then the second one.
Was it Meryl Streep? Was that the name?
No. It was an actress named Kara.
So shout out.
Kara. Yeah, I remember the scenes as well. But so we shot Kara and then subsequently like more actors. And 11 years later, we're approaching now 14,000 scenes shot.
Wow.
But the reason why we didn't initially, it was like as an actor, filmmaker, who was already, 8 years feeling like they can't find their space, seeing other actors, other people in my community feeling like they were struggling to get footage and they didn't know how to do it. It felt like a sense of purpose. And the more we shot, it felt like the sense of purpose of helping actors really grew. And I'm I'm thrilled to say that we shot 14,000 scenes, not as like a medal, but just as like these are 14,000 scenes for actors that we've created and helped them
Mm.
gain work and money, which is important. You know what I mean? It's helping them like, make money through this craft. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So a deep sense of purpose with Reelarc. 11
Yeah.
years into it. Yeah.
Congratulations. That is all so incredible. And it is a great investment, like you're saying, because it's really tough. That's one of the questions we actually got. Probably the number one question on creating your own demo reel is, how do I do that if I don't have the footage? And
Yeah.
so I think whether or not people are fortunate enough to work with you, what we're going to talk about here today are some ways that you can hopefully craft this incredible demo reel that
Yeah.
showcases you. And having gone through your process, I love how one of the first things that you all define when creating a new scene for a reel is just a discussion. It starts with a chat of who you are and who you kind of want to be in this industry.
Right.
And I think that applies to just putting a demo reel together in general. Would you say that's like a good first step for folks, just to find the
Yeah.
lens of,
Yeah.
who you want to
There's a
be?
lot of course. And I mean, there's a lot of, and sorry to cut you off, but
Oh,
there's a lot
please
of it.
do. We're in a virtual studio, so there's a slight delay and it's all fun and
No
fair.
worries. There's a lot of talk about brand and frou-frou brand, and there's some like actors that don't like the talk that brand, and I'm
Yeah.
not branded, I'm not a cow, I'm not a thing, you know what I mean? They you know and
Moo! I
yeah,
know.
yeah.
Yeah.
And when we look at brand or that thing, that discussion, right? The introduction to yourself, the way that we look at brand is like, okay, who are you right now at this moment in your career and where you see yourself fitting? And then helping through a set of exercises to help you kind of like see maybe where the industry will meet you, right?
Hmm.
Or where they would see you. So brand for us is kind of like the meeting point of those two things, what you want to do and how you want to introduce yourself, and also the counterpoint or the complementary point of where the industry may see you. And we just that's kind of like the tree that we spring off from. And we go through a set of exercises, that are fun and all that to really kind of like hone in.
Mm.
And so, yeah, I would say it's the most important thing to really do is define your slogan, your marketing. You can't shoot a marketing campaign, you can't shoot an advertising unless you
Mm.
know what it is that you're shooting, right? So, and that goes before script, before anything. So, who are you as a quote unquote product is very important to create really impactful media. Then
Mm.
there's all the other formulas that we've created to create really, really, to once we figure out your brand, how do we create it so the media is really impactful?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's interesting too because like you said, the word brand may scare some people or product, but it is a business at the end of the day. And whether you use those words or different words, whatever aligns with
Right.
you, I think it's really cool just as a person in this life to have these conversations, think about who you are and how you want to show up, because otherwise you're just kind of editing together clips and it looks cool, but people may not know where to place you. So,
Exactly. Yeah. And
it's a
it's not
great
even,
starting point.
casting directors, and this is something that I have a little bit of a problem with the gurus out there. And we don't pretend to be gurus, and I don't want to start beef, but casting directors are creatives and they can see and imagine where to put you.
Hmm.
You're not telling them, no one can tell them, oh, you know what I mean? This is what I should be in. Because if you created a scene of you as a CEO in Succession, but they want to put you as a janitor because that's what they see for the role, they'll do it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
What you're doing is you're creating for yourself a calling card. You're
Mm.
basically, creating your package, but then there's no way to tell how they're going to cast you. So it's not really about that. It's about you staying true to what you can do right now and how you want to present yourself. The rest is up to the casting director, who is an artist or she's an artist on their own right, and they can
Mm.
cast you however they want.
Yeah.
I hope that makes sense.
It does.
Yeah.
It's an artistry. And we talk with so many casting folks on here
Yes.
about exactly like that. And someone had said a while back, even with your resume, think about your story, where you want your story to go versus just having a bunch of things on a page. I think it applies to a reel as well. So,
Absolutely. Yeah.
in this same vein, I'm wondering, since you talk with a lot of agents and casting directors
Yeah.
and actors, obviously, what would you say is the number one thing people like to see in a demo reel?
I will say there's a lot of opinions And every casting director or agent will say what they like to see in a demo reel. And that's great. There's a lot of opinions like how you should start it, what you should start with, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
I can tell you what works by the numbers on attracting or creating the most impactful demo reel, which
Mm.
which we've done a lot of research into through our, analytics, our Facebook analytics, our Instagram analytics. We post a lot of our scenes, not all of them, but we post a lot of our scenes daily.
Hmm.
Um, to see what kind of like catches the eye. And about a year ago, we decided to like go on a journey and really figuring out, okay, what makes a reel, right, pop to like 500,000 views and what reel keeps something at 4,000 views,
Mm.
right? Sometimes it's an algorithmic thing and we can't do anything about it. But what we found, and we tested it by actually, after we've kind of like thought about it, we tested it by creating reels for this and see if they pop, and they indeed did. So there's three things that you need to remember, okay, if you're going to create an impactful reel. Number one, casting directors, agents, managers are all scrollers, right? Like any other human.
Hmm.
Everybody's susceptible to Instagram, to YouTube Shorts, to TikTok, to Facebook. Everybody is in their beds or on their couch flicking through reels, right? And your reel should be no different in the way that it attracts them. So there is a fundamental rule of stopping someone in their tracks, and that is a hook.
Mm.
Okay. And the way that you should structure your scene from the beginning is an explosive statement said by you, the actor, in the scene. And that can be something that is like very hooking, right? And one of those things, so if you have to think about the hook, it needs to be like something that can be either current, something that has to do with love, something that has to do with
Mm.
health, something that has to do with wealth. So for example, when we tested a scene, for a lack of a better thing, we really wanted to see how much we push it. The first line that we gave the actor was like, I am getting this whether you let me or not,
Mm.
right? It is immediately like what? You know what I mean? And 2 million views later, thousands of comments on that scene.
Hmm.
We realize we have something here. So I'm not saying like, create some like, salacious thing, whatever. You can stay true to the scene, but always remember that the first statement in the scene needs to be explosive enough to hook the audience to be able to keep them there.
Yeah.
Now, casting directors and agents may not even know that that's what they want, but that's what keeps them there,
Yeah.
right? So your scene, your reel needs to start. Every piece of media needs to start on you, and it needs to start with an impactful first line. And I
Mm.
would keep it in the health, wealth, love categories. Why did you kill your ex-wife?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I know you killed her. Yeah.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to be that cheesy, right? There's ways to make it good, but it's by the numbers, and we've seen it time and time again. That's what really hooks people into a reel. So that's number one. And I'm sorry if I'm going so long here.
No, no, I like the numbers, but I'm gonna pause you just on number one for
Please.
a second because I want to make sure it applies also to people that have scenes from network shows or whatever, and they're editing
Yeah.
things together. I guess the same could be said for if you have a really nice moment with. I think we'll get into this a bit later with a prominent actor on a good show, and maybe it's like a good first line. That could be sort of a visual hook. If
100%.
and you can also pick things out of the footage you have if there's provocative lines like you're saying too. That's a nice way to lead in there. But yeah, I just want to throw out there that I think it could be like a visual hook as well. I mean, if you're like running
Any
from an explosion and then you say something, that's also kind of the ultimate. Oh,
I will put that in a different category. If you
yeah.
have network credits on, and you have those, you have that media, you don't have to worry about that so much because the hook
Mm,
itself is NBC, Hulu, Netflix. That's the hook itself, right?
yeah.
That's what hooking the casting director because it signals to them, oh, this person works, right? So you don't necessarily need to have that explosive moment. The hook itself is a network show,
Mm,
if that makes sense. But if
yeah.
you don't have that, right, you gotta keep them watching.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
or
And
get
then
them started.
number two, I didn't want to stop you with your big three here.
Oh, number two is actually keep them watching by
Oh,
escalating the scene.
there we go.
So, if you hook them in, you will have to escalate the conflict in a very interesting way. And that is a very hard thing to do. But you have to keep the escalation, right, into an ultimate resolution, which is a number three. But just keep escalating the conflict in the scene. And then number three on that is, a payoff that is satisfying for them to watch. And that could be a line, that can be how it ends, it could be a cliffhanger. But those, if you focus on the hook, the conflict, and the eventual payoff in very simple ways, then you'll have a great scene that keeps them watching from beginning to
Mm.
end. They're not gonna. Most of the time, they're going to watch the hook and know if they want you or not. But make
Mm.
sure that the hook is there, because that is precious 8 seconds that you can use.
Yeah, I love that. Hook them in like a fish, baby. Well, reel them
Exactly.
in like a fishing reel. Like is it
Exactly.
rod reel? Yeah. So how many reels, I guess, before we get even more into the nitty gritty here, do you think an actor needs? I know scenes are big now. You can kind of just have a scene, a dramatic scene, a comedic scene, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
But in regards to reels, and we're talking about TV film here today, how many do you think are important?
I mean, the thing is with that is like a combination, a compilation of scenes. I just think that they need to be very good, right? How many is not really important, but it's just like putting together the stuff that is really, really good. You don't have to have like one master reel with comedy or drama. You can have a dramatic and a comedic. That's not really what's important.
Mm.
It's just showing really, really, really good work, whether you create it yourself or you get it from a network. Again, these are all opinions, but in my experience, scenes, right, or clips that are individually broken with their genre and kind of like your brand statement or your slogan about yourself, whatever, is more impactful for casting directors and actors access to get in and out and in and out and in and out. And it's all a window.
Mm.
They want to get a self tape from you anyway, so you're just showing them strong acting, maybe in the realm of what it is that they want to do. People rarely look at reels, they scrub through reels,
Mm.
right? So if you want to leave it to chance that they may get to that sixth clip on your reel, fantastic. But that's okay, make them. But I would keep it as individual clips.
Yeah, I love that. And that's sort of the beauty of having these different platforms like a casting networks or even just on your
Yeah.
YouTube page if you have it, because you can upload multiple things and send
Right.
different links and kind of
Right.
customize it. So I think that's great. A lot of listeners, hi friends,
Yeah.
probably don't have a reel. Oh, hi. Oh, hi friend. We got a little
Oh,
cameo,
this is
everybody.
Katie. She's actually one of our cinematographers. So yeah,
Hey.
I'm doing a podcast for casting networks.
Oh, fun.
Yeah.
Hello. Bye.
Great moment for our yeah, no worries. Yeah.
I love that. I love a cameo. We usually get dog cameo, so it was nice to have a person for once.
Yeah.
I think a lot of listeners, I'm guessing they're tuning in because they don't have a reel.
Yeah.
So, hi friend, you got this. I think we've kind of been laying down some basics, and we'll get a little bit more into the nitty gritty here. But we did poll our lovely listenership of Casting Network's users for questions. So I'm going to kind of weave them in a bit
Yeah.
to see how we can really hone in on tangible advice that will help
Please.
them directly. And a lot of their questions are the ones I had anyway, so it's kind of great. Michael Adolini was
Hey,
one of
Michael.
the folks inquiring about the length. So
Okay.
what would you say is the ideal length for a demo reel? Because we hear things like, don't have it be longer than 2 or 3 minutes. What are your thoughts?
For a demo reel, meaning a compilation of scenes that you're stringing together, I would say no more than 2 minutes. And again, people are going to scrub through a reel. They don't watch a reel, right?
Mhm.
So the longer you have it, the more material you have on there that can just get lost. So I would say keep it at 2 minutes. Now, in terms of clips, for individual clips, I would say no more than 60 seconds, and it's very important to focus on those first 8 seconds. So the ideal length for one clip, I would say no more than 60 seconds and ideally 30 seconds, and focus on that 8 seconds.
Mm.
And then for a reel, no more than 2 minutes, in my opinion. And I don't think those are important at this stage.
Okay, that makes sense. And when we're looking again at a compilation here, do you have even more advice on picking the scenes? I know for me, you want high quality scenes that kind of put you at the center, or to
Hmm.
edit it at least so it's showing you and not your
Hmm.
co-star more. What's your general advice there? Like, let's say, because we're talking generally today to a lot of different folks, but let's say it's someone who does have things and they're thinking like, oh, I'll just string them all together. Like, what would you say is the rule of thumb?
No, hook. Look for the hook first and start the edit from the hook, right?
Yep.
And it should start on you. You know, if it takes 30 seconds to get to your face, then it's like, or 10 seconds, or 5 seconds to get to your face, they're
Yeah,
already scrubbing, right? So
true.
the hook, it needs to start on you. So find the best hook in, doorway in, that is the most like explosive or whatever it is, or interesting, of that scene, and start there. Right. That is the most important thing to go for. Now, if you're looking at a reel as kind of like a piece of art that you've created, don't just like put them like one by one by one by one.
Mm.
Think about what could be a great hook. Maybe it's from a different scene, but it's like really intrigues them. And then you escalate, the clips, the various clips that you're doing, and then you give it a nice resolution and payoff. Think about it as like if you're gonna put a reel together as a piece of, media of its own that you're trying to really hook somebody in. It's not just something that you're doing like, here's the one, here's the two, here's the three, here's the four.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that. And like we said too, if the scene starts on Meryl Streep's face, that's fine. Take it by
Yes.
scene.
Again, that's a hook.
That's a
That's a hook.
hook. And you
Yeah.
can also, that's a captain hook right there. And you can
Yeah.
also kind of run it by your friends, your loved ones. If you have an agent or manager, there's people there that can actually get you a different perspective and say, you might think that's a hook, but actually that's making me just want to like scroll. So
Yes.
don't just
Yeah.
rely on yourself, because sometimes we're not
Yeah.
good judges of ourselves.
I would say a lot of the times, the things that I don't like to see on a reel when we're casting and we're doing things is like, you know, prolonged moments of silence and just
Mm.
like, there are all these from short films and things like that. It's all the looks, and it's like, a
Yeah.
look, and they're sitting on the bed and it's black and white, and and we love it as actors because it's like we really felt it in that moment.
Yeah.
But it really doesn't help me as a casting director to know, can I trust you on set? Can you say the lines, right? So
Mm.
lines are very, very important.
Yeah, and that was something I loved from my process with you all, was that me and the other actor had such a good time rehearsing and saying, "Oh, we're going to walk in, we're going to have this moment, do that." And then we got on set, and a great piece of advice you all had was just cut to, you're there, you're sitting down, just kind of get into it, because
Yes.
if we're watching a TV show, it's a little different, like we're invested, but
Of course.
you want to make sure you get right to the meat and then showcase yourself in the
Yeah.
in the best possible light. So
Exactly.
I think
But
that's
even
super
if
important.
with TV shows, how many times you sit on the couch and you watch a show and you're like, I'm going to give this exactly 10 more minutes before I'm like in my phone because it's not interesting enough and that doesn't go right into the crux of what it is that we're doing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like kind of like
Hmm.
dive in. People don't have time anymore. People are giving seconds onto social media, like you're saying. It's
Yeah,
very precious. So think about that as well.
exactly.
This leads to another listener question, which again, we got quite a bit for you. I think it's at Annalise iCard, not iPhone, but iCard, her Apple
Love
credit
it.
card there. What's the number? No, I'm just kidding. She put it pretty succinctly. And this was actually a question we got a lot. So
Yeah.
we've talked about the benefits of using a service like Reelarc, but she wants to know, how do I make a reel without any footage in a budget friendly way? And that was something we got pretty often. So do you
Yeah.
have sort of advice there, since I mean that's how you started your company?
Yeah, absolutely. And by all means, for me, this is not a sales pitch. There's people with all kinds of budgets, and we like to respect actors wherever they are in their careers. And I have the exact kind of like answer for this. Create material that is true to where you are right now in your career.
Mm,
And if you're a starting actor, maybe there's no reason for you to go to a company like Reelarc and spend all this money to creating a beautiful self tape, right? Or going to a self tape studio where it's not that expensive. I mean, I guess it would be
mhm.
like $200 or whatever, but they can really record you on a nice camera with a blue background.
Yeah. Well, SAG has a free, I think, workshop in the city, which
Yeah,
there's things
yeah,
like that too, resources.
yeah. And by the way, that's okay and good,
Yeah.
right? The only reason why you would want to up level your materials, and this has to do with, businesses, anything, and you're a business as an actor, is only if you want to show more context into you
Mm,
in space and just up level the marketing. But if you're in a place where you can't afford it and you can only afford a beautiful self tape in one of those self tape places, then do that. That's
mm.
it. Trust me. There are people that get cast from that all the time,
Yeah.
you know, and you may not be ready for that full scene in space on a Game of Thrones, you know what I mean, set like we do sometimes, or a Last of Us type of situation. It can be fun and that's great. But if all you can do is just, do a self tape, I would recommend to do that. And then slowly you up level as you
Mhm.
go along and you feel more comfortable with yourself as an actor.
Yeah.
Um, but I would say start with the self tape. I would try not to do it at home unless you know how to do it at home, and
Mm.
do it well. But start with the self tape, which is an easy enough entry, with your money. And then once you want to up level your materials or you feel like you're not getting enough, that's when you can say, okay, maybe I need to up level the material here. You know what I mean? And I'll spend a
Yeah.
little bit of money. So if I were to give you advice, all the people that are asking about this, find a self tape studio that is really good at what they do. They charge 200 an hour, whatever it is, and they just get really good material in front of a reader, and you're good. You know?
Mm. And also, if you have a self tape that you made in the past that maybe got you a callback and there
Yeah,
was some good feedback there, that's probably a flag that that's a good one to send in, just for getting an agent or whatever it is. If there's a part that
absolutely.
it's similar to, I think that's great advice.
The most important thing is don't let your media page go empty,
Yes.
because if your media page is empty, if you don't have any videos, you're getting sifted out and filtered out from submissions, right? So I would say, because we don't have time as casting directors to look at, photos and decide. We need proof, and the proof is in the video. So I would say, as an immediate action, go get that self tape, upload that self tape, make sure the sound is great and the video is sufficient, and that should be a good way to do it. But don't leave your media page empty.
Yes, I love that. And actually, that leads me to my next question, which
Yeah.
is this is airing during spooky season. And so, Guy, I want to talk about some horror stories.
Yes.
Any real horror stories that you can share? I know I won't reveal too much information, but I know you also are behind the table casting things as well. So you have this eye to bring to these. You mentioned things like seeing a lot of silence. It doesn't have to be anything dramatic, but sort of what is there not to do in regards to putting out materials like a reel?
Man,
The knots,
that's a great question. What is the not?
the
Um,
don'ts, like the
yeah, the
don'ts of it
don'ts.
all.
Man, I mean, just yeah, the silences. I don't believe I don't believe in title cards, so no names
Oh,
with
okay.
phone numbers and stuff like that. They ain't calling you from your title card, right? And they don't care that your agent is at the end of the thing or whatever it is. Go directly into the video,
Mm.
or you acting, because time is precious. But God, I want to think about horror stories. I could tell you horror stories that at Reelarc, but
Well, if there's anything you think that could lead to some helpful advice for people, if things maybe sometimes actors, we think we're doing something in service of the scene or ourselves, but ultimately it hinders the production.
yeah, I would say, you're an actor, and if you are going to produce reels for yourself, or something like that, or engage with a company that does that, um, you're an actor, and that is your job, and you're there to show acting skills. It's not a passion project, right?
Mm.
So I would say, you know, you have to focus on the strategy behind it all, rather than like, oh, it's fun. It's great to be on set and it's great to create a passion project, but these are marketing materials specifically to sell your business. And
Mm.
you really have to keep it very strict to those, to that, so you're able to showcase as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I think if you're doing that and leading with that professionalism, it inherently is fun too, because then you're sort of taking it seriously and allowing yourself to do what you love versus, like you said, maybe just showing up and kind of treating it like, oh, I'm here. Let's see what happens. So
exactly.
yeah,
Exactly.
that's a good point.
Yeah.
I think an even better way to get into this sort of like deep dive of demo reels and all things marketing a bit, I developed a surprise game called Real Essentials. So,
Ooh.
Guy, let's get real.
Let's do it.
Insert cheesy music here. I'm going to throw out a prompt, and you simply say yes or get real, aka no, and then explain a little reason why an actor should or shouldn't include this in their reel. Does that make sense?
Okay, so yes or get real.
Yes or get real, and then you can explain why, and it will just like make it a little flash round here. You answered some of these actually. So montage at the start. I think I know what you're going to
Get
say.
real.
Get real. Okay. So nothing, even if like there's don't do the thing where it's like you put the exciting thing at the beginning and then expect them to watch that all the way through to the end to get to it.
Yeah, I would say is like, montage, we want to see dialogue and we want to get hooked by your acting. So montage and fast cutting at the beginning is just making us see this like self-serving situation where it's like, here I'm looking, and here I'm looking, and here I'm looking, and here I'm looking. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I would say get real. Come on.
I love that.
Get real.
Include a headshot title card at the
Get
beginning.
real.
Yeah, you did just touch on that as well. Okay.
Yeah.
Music.
Yes, but it needs to be it needs to match the tone and feel of your reel. Yes.
Tone and feel of your reel. That rhymed. I liked it. So would you say like a fade in music and maybe a fade out music, but not over your scenes, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Just to clarify for everybody at home.
Oh, I have a big one. Okay, but never mind. Yeah.
No, please. This is flexible.
Subtitles.
Yes.
Even if you're in English, even if you're doing it in English, subtitles are a must. And I try to get all of our clients to add subtitles to their scenes, but a lot of them don't want to do it, and I try to fight them on it. But same as social media, a lot of them are watching it on the toilet or in their bedrooms or on the stuff, and maybe they're watching 3 at a time and they have it muted and they have whatever and they're in a meeting. If you put subtitles, you can hook them in with actually watching the subtitles. So anyways.
Yeah, I love that. And it's accessible, which is great too.
Yes.
We talked about self-tape clips. So I was going to say use of self-tape clips, but I think we covered that a bit. So we'll move into, clips that have really good acting and maybe the production is even great, but the audio is poor quality.
No. Get real.
Get real.
Yes.
Don't do it.
Or get it fixed.
Get real or get it fixed. I like it.
They will forgive picture, but they will never forgive sound. That's one of the rules of filmmaking. Yeah.
I love that. Well, same with this podcast as well. So I appreciate that.
Yes.
Lead role in a student film. Would you include like student film things? Again, I guess it goes back to quality.
Yes, and it needs to look good, right?
Yeah.
If it doesn't look good or sound good, I would not include it. But yes.
Okay. What about just one line on a network show? I think we talked about this bit too. Okay. No, don't get real. That's a yes.
Yes.
Yes. We talked about this a little bit too, but again, it's hard to talk about a visual medium via audio. Are you in favor of like showing range? Would you say that's better than just sticking to one vibe per reel? Like show range in the best possible light?
Yeah, you can show range. However, stay true to your brand. So Tom Hanks, who's the perfect everyman, right? That's his archetype. He can be in a comedy and he can be in a drama, but he's Tom Hanks, right? He's still very connected to who he is as this everyman. Later on in your career, you can obviously expand that. But at the beginning, you want to show them, you can be a cop, and I hate using that, but you can be a cop. You can be the bad cop. You can be the good cop. Right? There's different ways to play different things. You can be in Brooklyn Nine-Nine and you can be in Mayor of Easttown, right? Different flavors of genres, but but you have to stay connected to what it is that you feel like you want to put out there. So I would say you can show range within your brand.
I love that. And that's what makes fresh stories interesting a lot of the times is seeing a cop with a different perspective. Because sometimes we think as actors, I got called in for a cop. I could never be a cop. Yes, you could.
Yeah.
Anybody could really be anything.
Smoke on Apple TV is an incredible show, and it's just a masterclass in characters. Masterclass.
Oh, I love that. That's my actor homework. I'm going to write that down.
Yeah.
I think we talked about this too, but labeling every project with text in the little corner, or would you just put like the network emblems if it's a network?
You can do if there is no emblem, then do text. If there is an emblem, do text. You can, as much as you can actually put in their face this was on a show, then great.
Okay. I've seen a bunch of these, so I'm gonna ask you, having like a fun blooper or personality moment.
Um, doesn't really. No,
It doesn't really. Get real.
no.
Okay.
Get real. No.
Oh, here's another one that this kind of came up with, folks. Footage of you as a background artist if
Nope.
you're featured. Okay. I thought that was the answer.
Get real.
Can you tell people why?
Number one, it signals where you are,
Hmm.
and it signals that if you're willing to put that on your media page, it means that you don't understand the business. There is background, right? And then there is actually being there and doing the work, right?
Mm.
And that is just like these are two worlds that shouldn't actually touch. Sorry.
You
So
did
if you
touch.
put yeah, so if
The
you
mic.
so if you put that on there, it's not going to help you. If anything, it's gonna, for lack of a better term, give the casting director the ick.
What show did I just watch where they were talking about the ick? Oh, nobody wants this.
Yeah.
Okay, there's there's
The
something to be said
professional ick.
too. The professional ick is real. There's
Yeah.
something to be said too for your resume, right? Because I've seen when people put that on a resume and they maybe try and fudge it a little bit.
Yeah.
And maybe that works for them sometimes, but everybody talks in this business too. So they're gonna know you weren't really on the show acting in a role. So just
Don't fudge it. Don't fudge the
honest.
resume.
Yeah.
Focus on a great self-tape. Show them your acting ability. I've cast people that have 0 credits,
Mm.
but on this feature that we're doing, but their self-tape is incredible, and that's it. That's all it took.
I love that. Okay,
Yeah.
Guy, you mentioned this already as well. We already covered so much, but contact info at the end. You said that's kind of a get reel. So how would you say is the best way to end a reel?
The end.
Just
I-
fade out.
I would say, yeah, fade out. Yeah, they're never going to get to the end of it anyways. So they're not going to read it. They're not going to get to the end of it. They're going to scrub right through it. It doesn't matter how you end it. If you want to end it with you going blah, it doesn't matter. They're never going to get to the end of it, So I'm going to get a lot of casting directors are probably going to.
Well, I think you're not saying they don't watch self tapes. You're saying in regards to like a 2-minute
No.
reel, which
Yeah,
is
they
different.
watch
Yeah.
self-tapes.
They watch
definitely watch
self-tapes, yeah.
self-tapes. There's something beautiful about watching self-tapes because it's like you're excited to see the people that you invited to send you a self-tape. You're excited to see what the work they're putting in. So they are watching it for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
But reels, they're literally just going I like, I don't like. They know immediately. You can't fool them. You can't do it, but they're not going to get to the end of it. So it doesn't matter how you end it. End it with the title card, end it with a picture from you on vacation. It really doesn't matter in my,
It's
in
kind
my
of fun.
opinion.
Honestly,
Yeah.
I might change mine up and end mine now saying, "You did it! Oh, thank you for staying
Yeah,
here." Or just
yeah, you
hug the
got to
camera.
end. Congratulations. Yeah,
Yeah, I
that's
love that.
actually a better way. If that's funny. It's like you got to the end. I can't believe it. Yeah.
Don't take that, everyone. Don't take that from me. No, you can. Let's all do it. If we all do it together, I think it's kind of fun.
Yeah.
Thank you for being real and playing. You win. You win, Guy. Thank you so much. I
Thank you.
have another question kind of in regards to how you and Reelarc have adapted
Yeah.
to the way casting views scenes now, reels now. What would you say is the current, the word trend is tricky, but in this landscape of entertainment, how do you think you all have evolved?
We've fought through in the early stages. We fought through this is fake work, right? And it still exists. People saying this is fake work, etc. Well, it's not fake because you've invested money, you're producing it, and you got lines, and you're saying them, and it's on your reel. Good acting will trump any thoughts a casting has about scene creation, right? So it's really not about scene creation. It's about what you bring to the table. All the job for us as Reelarc is to put you in context, to shine a light on your brand, and make it fun, right? And give you a piece of media that is impactful enough that you can put on your media page. It's if you if you are an incredible actor, it doesn't matter if it was from a real quote unquote feature film, a real show. Um, it's really about the work that is in front of the camera. So what one casting director can say one thing, another casting director can say another thing, or an agent, etc. All we've seen is a curve of it just helping. Also, in this time of no in-person auditioning, um, it's been very helpful for people to get their foot through the door and and be able to like showcase multiple sides of themselves. So it's always going to be there, the fact of like how people perceive scene creation, but it's no
Mhm.
different than being in a short film. It's no different than being in anything. You're producing the work. You're coming here to the studio, it's all a dream, right? But you are coming here to the studio and doing the work. So if you show something really, really great and you prep and you make it look incredible, then it doesn't matter if it's scene creation or not. It is
Yeah.
magic. You are supposed to fool them, right?
Yeah.
You're never gonna fool them, right? Because they've seen enough stuff, but you are supposed to fool them. That's the whole point. It is magic. You
Mhm.
are supposed to make them like, what is this from? You know what I mean?
Mm.
Start the
Yeah.
conversation. Yeah,
Yeah, I think that's great. And
yeah,
again, like whether you're fortunate to do it there or you're shooting a short with friends, it's sort of like
exactly.
this industry is built on people wanting to tell stories on one hand, and then the money aspect on the other. So this is like Reelarc is kind of a microcosm of that. It's all that's what the work is. I got to
Yeah,
tell you guys, it's someone investing in a project and you show up. So you're kind of treating it the same no matter what. And I think if you do bring yourself to things, your authenticity, your drive, if you treat everything as you would, let's say someone hands you a contract and says you're about to star in the next blockbuster, then that's your job. It's not really your job to worry about anything else. Unless you're
exactly.
self-taping, then you do have to worry about the lighting and all that stuff,
Yeah,
these days.
yeah.
But you know what
That
I'm
whole
saying, Guy.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, there's always going to be trends coming and going, and AI is coming in, and all that stuff, and use it to your advantage, as much as you can. I think as actors, don't shy away from doing it because it's coming and it's here. But I'm also super optimistic. Like there are more projects being shot.
Hmm.
There are. I'm looking at us as Reelarc. Like we are now shooting an indie feature that is quite. I mean, when I say it has a good budget and some star talent in it and people, it's like
Yeah.
if we can do it, if we actually are doing it, there's a whole lot more being done out there. To
Hmm.
me, I see this more of a renaissance of like the era of Quentin Tarantino in the 90s and new voices are coming up. And I think there's going to be more work all around. So
Hmm.
I was very doom and gloom at the end of, once ChatGPT came in and all those things, I was like, oh my God, whatever. But actually, as an AI like lover,
Hmm.
I don't think it's gonna take away much. And a person that's really in it every day and thinking about it, it's like I I'm kind of optimistic, cautiously optimistic about the world of entertainment in the future. I don't know how we got to that. I don't
I don't
know.
know, but we're
Yeah.
here. We
Yeah.
followed the
We're
tornado down the rainbow.
here.
The house fell on us. The AI house. I think I think if we always are all leading with our humanity as much as we can. I think there's a lot of
Exactly.
validity to what you just said,
Yeah.
and it makes me wonder. You touched on your film. Feel free to share more. I mean, this by the time this is out, it probably will have been announced.
Yeah. So it relates to Reelarc. About a year ago, we had an incredible person. Her name is Dinah. Reach out to us to Reelarc. She just sold her major company. I don't know. I could probably say this, but she used to be the CEO of Health Aid Kombucha, very very big company that she started and founded.
Yes, I love Health
And
Aid.
and she sold it, and even with all the money that she made off of it, her number one thing was acting, for her whole life, and that's all she wanted to do. So, hey, if this is like your second time or second chance coming into this industry and you're listening to it and you just like
Hmm.
want to get into acting, then here you go. What's a better inspiring story than Dinah? So, she came in and we created her whole package and pitched her to agents and managers, and she got an agent and a manager through us. And then did the auditioning thing. And then, she came to us a year later and she said, I want to do kind of like a film on my life story, which is very, very, very funny, or kind of like a moment in her life. And we just went, out and started kind of like writing it with one of our writers. Peter Hoare was a fantastic writer. He wrote Standing Up, Falling Down with Billy Crystal, and he wrote projects for Goldie Hawn and now for Kevin Hart. And he loved the synopsis so much that he actually took this on and wrote it. And from here to there, it just like started kind of gaining momentum. And you never know, actually, by reaching out to a person, doesn't have to be Reelarc, but anyone that you feel like that is in your reach, you don't know where that can lead you to. Dinah, I don't think ever thought that she will be able to like, work with Peter, work with Mia Cusimano, who's our casting director, work with Daniela Eisman, who's our director, and she was the Sex Lives of College Girl director and Shameless. They all jumped in because of her amazing synopsis and Peter's script, etc. So just by doing that small little action of like actually engaging with us, all these things are happening. But yeah, we're shooting October 20th. And in LA, and we're very, very excited.
Oh, that's super cool. Well, Mazel, congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah,
I can't wait to hear more about that. And I wonder, just while we have you here as you're behind the table now, what would you say is your kind of number one piece of audition advice, since you're watching a lot of self-tapes these days? And let's be real, us actors can always use more of that.
Yeah. Respect the medium and don't give them a shitty looking image and sound. Just like, if you can do one thing, is like be the light in someone's day and make sure that it looks good and it sounds good. I can't touch on talent because what can you do with that? You can't really control that or what they want or whatever. So control what you can't control, and that is the environment. And even if it's shot on an iPhone, make sure that you're shooting it on an app like Filmic Pro, or, something that really, is of good quality. So that's what I would say. Obviously, the higher you get in the rankings of actors or whatever it is, you can start providing some more creative choices, etc. But yeah, I would say if you're starting out, make sure that you're getting them some really good audition tapes.
Yeah, that's great advice, because it's sort of like give them no other reason to say no than
eliminate
who you are.
Eliminate distraction.
I love that.
That's really what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's excellent. And you're right. Some of us, we can forget to do the most basic things. I went on an audition once, and it was in person back in those days. Remember those? For a TV show. And I did the scene, and the casting director must have had a long day and was literally just like, "Thank you so much for knowing your lines and preparing."
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, did some people like not look at the script, So
yeah,
I think just remember the basics, like you're saying that.
Yeah. And I know it's getting gnarly with like how many pages are being asked, and
that's real too. Yeah.
Yeah. And all that stuff. But it's like, you got to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's a case by case thing too, because once you develop that relationship, people understand if you're getting something, sometimes honestly, like not within the SAG window when you're technically supposed to have, a lot of time for. People understand that. So just do the best you can, everybody. And by listening to something like this, I already think you're in the right direction, because you're working on it. You're dreaming about it. And just to hit it home, to get back to reels before we depart, how often would you say an actor has a reel now? We've kind of taken them through it. How often would you say they should update their reel?
Yeah, I think it's always a work in progress. And I think that, if you are trying to explore a new side, right? Something that you're passionate or want to show of yourself that is not currently there, you should do it. If the marketing materials are not impactful, or like you're not getting auditions, right? Then you should probably change it up. It's rarely, and I'm not saying this because I'm a scene creation company or anything like that. Rarely the scene creation company's fault, right? It means that it's just like it's not hitting, and that's okay. Even if you spend money on it, it's like you don't have to spend more money. Again, like I said, you can do a self tape, etc. But if it's not working or you're not getting the results that you want, then just create more and keep creating. You know what I mean? It's not in an interval of 6 months or a year or 2 days or 5 years. If you're not getting the marketing results, guess what? You have to change the ad. You know how many ads we put, and how many times, things don't work? If they don't work, you don't just stop. You just keep creating, right? And you
Yeah.
can create it yourself. You can create it with self-tapes. You can create it with scene creation company. You can create your own movie, your own vertical series. There's a lot of budget ranges that you can do and create. But the idea is to keep creating it if it's not working, and keep creating and keep driving if a piece of media is working. So if
Mm.
you are getting cast as a co-star, as a janitor, and I give this always like as a thing, and you have that NBC janitor one line on it, make a scene creation as a janitor, but with 3 pages,
Mm.
and show the casting director who cast you as a follow-up. I was so inspired by that one line as a janitor on The Pit that I decided to expand the world, and I wanted to show you this scene.
Mm.
Show them that you're like driving towards it, because if a piece of marketing is working, then create more of that. Create more of that, and
Mm.
keep creating more of that.
I love that. I was just envisioning, I don't know why. I guess because a lot of us actors have worked for a catering company before. Never me, I'm too clumsy. But if you're going out there with a tray of mozzarella sticks and nobody at the party wants it, you got to go back into the kitchen and get another hors
Yes.
d'oeuvre. And then when people want that, just keep making that. And
So
there's
true.
something to be said for, I said this on here before. My agent once told me, get on the train that's pulling into the station. And so you're not pigeonholing yourself just because you're creating more, janitor clips or whatever it is. You're actually freeing yourself in a way, because the more work you kind of book, the more people that know you, the more likely soon-ish down the road, you'll have opportunities to do more of the roles you really kind of want to do.
And like, for actors, they just need to understand this business, or the casting business, is very associative, right? Like, I don't know
Hmm.
if that's the word, but it is associative. It's like,
They're associates.
yeah, they are associating at any point when they're casting. When we worked with our casting director, she asked us to put, a list of like the people that we want for each role to like send offers to, some named talent. And the only reason why we put that name talent on there, because they're unlocking this associative thing for us for that character.
Mm.
So it is real when we say there's brand, because it's like association. Like, how do we associate like these people? There's a great actor named Stephen Root who's on Barry, who plays
Hmm.
Fuchs, you know what I mean? And he always plays around that space, but he's made millions doing that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's okay. And that's okay.
And that is totally okay. It's
Yeah.
what's ever okay for you. And how many times, friends, do we get an audition and it says, you look at the breakdown and it's like this type? Like, I've gone in so many times for things where it says, young Ben Stiller type or whatever it says.
Right.
I don't know. So
Yeah.
just think about that. That kind of
Yeah.
relates to what you were saying. And
Yeah.
as we wrap up that's a wrap on the reels, I think we should also say the most important thing of all, which is that you shouldn't forget to post it. And we should be posting this baby everywhere, right? It's got to
Everywhere.
be on your casting sites. Put it on
Yeah.
YouTube. Send
Yeah.
it out in a newsletter. You gotta
You got to put it, you got to put it everywhere, Instagram, YouTube, all that stuff, tag, if you're doing with us, tag us, tag people that have work with people that have a following, and then tag them. And, you can get really nifty about strategy. You could, I mean, there's a whole tagging casting directors and things like that, which I don't think you should do. But
Yeah.
yeah.
It's subjective. We actually just dropped a whole episode on networking that touches on that. So
Really?
tune
Okay.
in.
Oh yeah, I can't wait to listen. But yeah, put it everywhere. Absolutely. And keep creating, keep putting it everywhere. Yeah.
I'm gonna put mine everywhere. If you're interested, everybody, like I said, I was delighted to do a scene with Reelarc. I had the best time.
Thank you.
I have now posted it. This will be in the future, but it is now posted. If you want to check it out, go check out their other scenes. And before we let you go, Guy, we always end each episode with a gotten or a given. So we would love the best piece of advice you've either gotten or given in this industry. I used to ask for both, but then a lot of the time it's the same thing. So it could be a gotten or a given, but basically the best piece of advice you have.
Sorry for the silence. I know that this is like
Oh, take your
a
time.
podcast, but don't do it for the stardom. Don't do it for the money, because those rarely happen. You do it because you love it, and that's it. And if you do it because you love it and there's no stakes in it, then you will enjoy it. But if there's too many stakes in it, then you will find yourself bitter and resentful. So don't do it for the money. Don't do it for the stardom. Do it because you love it. And that's I think that's what it is.
I love that, Guy. That has me emotional. That's beautiful. Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much for being here. And we just appreciate you coming on here to help us actors out today. So thank you.
Thank you so much. This was such a pleasure. And it was great meeting you on set too.
Oh yeah, thank you. That was such a fun day. That was a
Yeah.
fun scene.
Yeah. It was awesome.
Thank
Awesome.
you.
Thank you so much.